Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Boros, during Mr. Conley's question, he talked about sequestration taking effect March 1st, and in the past 19 days, he asked you, we haven't seen any major disruptions. I believe your answer was yes to that question. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, putting aside what Mr. Gowdy brought up, the fact that we've released 10 level 1 aggravated felons, your answer to we haven't seen many major disruptions was yes. And yet on March 4th, we have the statement by Secretary Napolitano. She said, as a result of sequestrations, airports were seeing lines 150 to 200% as long as they would normally expect. So which is it? 3 days after the sequestration, the Secretary of Department of Homeland Security is saying we got lines 200% of normal, and you're saying we haven't seen any major disruptions. Which one's true?
Well, I don't know the specific statement that was made by the Secretary.
I just read it to you. Quote, 150 to 200% as long as we would normally expect. You just told Mr. Conley we haven't seen any major disruptions. You got your boss saying we have. Who's telling the truth?
Well, again, I don't know what the statement is. If you're saying the statement said that we are currently seeing at all airports, or that is the projection.
She said airports were seeing 150 to 200% as long as we would normally expect. Was she wrong? Or were you wrong in what you gave your answer to Mr. Conley? Or is not 200% of the line 200%, is that not a disruption? Well, it's yes or no. One of you's got to be right, one of you's got to be wrong.
Well, I am not aware of.
Well, according to the reporter, she's wrong. So maybe what you said is maybe the case. Maybe we haven't seen major disruptions. In your answer to the chairman in the first round of questions, he was talking about attrition and ways you could have planned for this, and you said this, quote, we thought sequestration wouldn't happen. Now, does the United States Department of Homeland Security make a habit of not preparing for the law of the land when it comes to its management practices? As Mr. Gowdy pointed out, as the chairman pointed out, you had 20 months to get ready for this, but because you had this assumption it wasn't going to happen, you didn't prepare. I mean, you told the chairman, we didn't expect it to happen. So when did you finally start? March the 2nd? When did you finally start to prepare for something you had 19 months lead time on?
Well, I'd say we began to plan preliminarily for sequestration in the fall.
Even though you thought, I mean, so which is it? You thought it wasn't going to happen, but you did start to, where are you at?
No, exactly, that's where I'm at. Certainly in August of 2011, there was the hope that we would not face sequestration. In the fall, clearly as January 1st was approaching, we continued to look at the possibility of sequestration, the impact.
So you waited a year?
No, we did not wait a year.
Well, you said it passed August 11th. You said in the fall, as January 1st started to approach, you started to get ready. So you waited a year. Maybe if you hadn't waited a year, maybe you wouldn't have 50 job postings today on your website offering jobs. Maybe you wouldn't have to be saying we're going to have to furlough people. It's again, have you responded to the chairman's letter where he asked your department, were there ways we could be helpful, maintaining the reduction in spending and sequestration, but ways we as Congress could be helpful in helping you implement this? Have you responded to that letter?
I'm not aware of a letter that was written to me.
No, it's written to the department. You're here representing the department, correct? Yeah, it's written to the department. Have you responded? Has the department responded?
I believe that that letter is in clearance. And
what does that mean?
It's being completed and should be responded to the chairman by the end of the week.
Don't you think if you, I mean, again, it seems to me if you had 20 months to prepare for this, the chairman asked you how we can help you better implement it, you should have something ready to email right away, some letter response ready to go. Here's our plan of action, Mr. Chairman. Here's what we can do. We would appreciate your help giving us some flexibility in these particular areas of our budget. Finally, last area I want to get to, Mr. Chairman, in the last 40 seconds here. Ms. Spear and I have been working on this issue of conferences that agencies have attended and the amount of money, amount of taxpayer dollars used at these various conferences. Do you know how many conferences the Department of Homeland Security has attended in 2012?
I don't have that number off the top of my head.
Do you know how much money you've spent on conferences, overnight conferences, where employees from your department go? Do you know how many dollars you've spent on those kind of things?
I don't have that number off the top of my head.
Mr. Edwards, do you happen to know those numbers?
No, sir. But we did a report on 2009
We had 12 recommendations, and we're currently doing an audit on conference spending.
Do you know, Mr. Edwards, of any of the conferences that employees from Homeland Security have attended, if any of them exceeded the amounts, the level per attendee that was spent at the GSA conference, in the now famous GSA conference in Vegas? Do you know?
No, sir.
Okay, well, we'd like for you to get that information if you could.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you. And we're going to wrap up.